Stop scrolling for a second because this is not random and it is not small. Someone connected to your future has already noticed something about you that you barely notice yourself, and what they felt has been growing in silence. It was not your voice first, not your smile, not even the words you speak when people expect you to impress them. It was the way you move through a room, the way you carry your energy, the way you get dressed on ordinary days when you think nobody important is looking. That is what stayed with them. That is what followed them home in thought, and what they quietly said about you later was deeper than a compliment. It was the kind of sentence that changes the mood in a room. So stay with me, because this gets personal fast. There is someone tied to your path who has been picking up details about you for longer than you realize. Not in a strange way, not in a controlling way, in a deeply emotional way. As if every color you wear, every simple choice you make, every calm expression on your face is revealing a hidden chapter of who you are becoming. And what shocked them most was not your appearance alone. It was the contrast inside you. One moment you seem distant, quiet, almost hard to reach, like someone protected by mystery. Then suddenly there is warmth, softness, a calm grace that slips through your confidence without trying to be seen. They noticed that right away. They even tried to explain it once, and the only words they could find were simple but powerful. They said, there is something honest about the way they dress. Think about that for a moment. Honest. In a world full of people performing versions of themselves, somebody looked at you and saw something real. That is why your presence stayed with them, even when you doubted yourself. Even when you looked in the mirror and thought you looked average, forgettable, too simple, too quiet, too plain. Somebody still felt something genuine in you. And after that, something shifted inside them without warning. They started comparing other people to your energy without even meaning to. The extra effort in others began to feel loud. The copied styles, the forced image, the trends with no soul in them. All of it started feeling empty, but your presence stayed in their memory because it carried feeling instead of performance. Listen carefully, because the deeper part has not even arrived yet. There was a moment they still cannot shake. You wore something simple. Maybe so simple that you almost changed it before leaving. Maybe you looked at yourself and thought it did not matter. But when they saw you in that exact moment, something moved inside them. Not because the outfit was expensive, not because it was dramatic, but because your energy matched it so naturally that it felt like truth. Later, they described it in a strange but beautiful way. They said it felt like someone dressing as if they already understand where they are going in life, as if they already belong to their future. That thought stayed with them, because they had seen beautiful people before. Impressive people too, but your energy felt rare, calm and intense at the same time, like someone who has suffered quietly and still chose grace over bitterness. Stay here, because this next part matters. Your soulmate is not just seeing your appearance, they are feeling the emotion behind it. They are sensing the quiet strength in you, the self-control, the tiredness you hide beneath a composed face, even the pain you try not to show too clearly. Yes, even that. Sometimes the soul wears its story in silence, and your soulmate has been reading parts of that story without needing it explained. Not everyone can do that. Most people only see surface. They notice what is loud, what shines fast, what asks for attention. But this person keeps feeling that there is an entire life behind your eyes, behind the way you present yourself, behind the way you stand still when the room is moving too fast. They started wondering what shaped you, what refined you, what heartbreak made you softer and stronger at the same time, what lonely season taught you how to become this calmer version of yourself. And the strange thing is, the mystery did not push them away, it pulled them closer. They have spoken about you when you were not there. Not recklessly, not in a casual way, softly, carefully, like they were trying not to expose how much they already feel. And the most unforgettable thing they said was this: they do not even know how unforgettable they are. When those words left their mouth, people expected something shallow after it, a comment about looks, a passing compliment. But that is not what came. Your presence was described like a feeling, like a memory that lingers after the person has already gone. That is the difference. Many people are seen, but very few are remembered deeply. Somehow, without trying, you became memorable to a person connected to your future, and now something is changing inside them. The more they try not to think about you, the more the details return. The way you walk, the colors you choose, the quiet softness that appears in your eyes when you think nobody notices, the balance between your strength and your gentleness. It keeps coming back. You are becoming a thought that refuses to fade. And if you are still listening, do not skip this part, because the next layer goes even deeper than attraction. There is a specific memory they replay again and again, and what makes it powerful is that nothing dramatic happened. That is exactly why it matters. The room was ordinary, the light was normal, no music changed, no perfect scene appeared. But there was a moment when you turned slightly away, caught in your own thoughts, disconnected from the noise around you, and somehow that small second stayed with them more than big events ever did. They remember the angle of your face, the stillness around you, the way you looked like your mind was somewhere beyond the room, peaceful but distant, present but far away. And in that quiet second, they understood something that unsettled them in the softest way. You are not dressing to impress the world. You are dressing in a way that reflects the change happening inside you. That realization stayed with them, because most people never look long enough to catch that. But this person did. They also noticed something else that almost nobody picks up. Your style shifts with your emotions. When you are healing, your presence softens. When you are focused, your energy becomes cleaner, sharper, more direct. When you are protecting your heart, even your colors seem quieter, more guarded, more private. Most people would miss those changes completely. But your soulmate feels them, even if they cannot explain how. They notice the small things. The way your sleeves move when you cross your arms. The way you adjust your clothing when doubt slips in for a second. The way confidence suddenly returns when you feel safe in the right energy. And once, a sentence escaped them before they could stop it. They said, "I feel like they are becoming someone important." Not important because of fame, not because of money, not because of status. Important because your energy carries movement, growth, direction, destiny, quietly unfolding. That is why your presence affects them. Your soulmate secretly admires that you remain yourself in a world where most people constantly reshape themselves to be accepted. Trends change every second. People copy each other without thinking. So many personalities feel borrowed now, but there is still something unmistakably original about you. Something that cannot be repeated just by wearing the same clothes or choosing the same colors. That authenticity keeps pulling them back, quietly, again and again. At one point, someone asked them a simple question about you. What do you even see in them? And for a moment, they had no answer. Not because the feeling was missing, but because what they feel for you does not fit neatly into easy language. How do you explain the comfort of a person's energy? How do you describe the calm inside you when they enter a space before they even speak? How do you explain why one presence out of millions suddenly feels familiar to something deep inside you, like recognition with no clear memory attached to it? They searched for words. They tried to make it logical. And then quietly, almost under their breath, they said it. They feel real. That simple sentence surprised even them. Because yes, they have met attractive people, charming people, clever people, people who knew how to shine in public, but your energy carries something harder to find, sincerity mixed with mystery, softness mixed with depth. And when that combination is natural, not forced, it becomes powerful. The more they notice you, the more curious they become about everything that formed you before they ever came close to understanding you. The disappointments you never explain, the dreams you stopped sharing too freely, the heartbreaks that taught you silence. Without you saying much, they feel traces of all of it. And that is why this connection has started becoming impossible for them to ignore. Stay with me, because what they have not confessed yet may be the most revealing part of all. Sometimes when you are near, they look away on purpose. Not because they do not care, because they care too much. Eye contact with you can feel strangely intense to them, almost overwhelming in a quiet, emotional way. That surprises them, because your energy is not loud. It does not demand attention. It is deeper than that. It pulls people inward without warning, until they suddenly realize they are emotionally involved. Your soulmate is still trying to understand why your presence affects them so strongly, and little by little the answer is becoming clear. You remind them of a life they once hoped for and almost stopped believing in. A peaceful life, a steady love, a connection without games, a bond that feels emotionally safe instead of confusing. That is why even the way you carry yourself feels symbolic to them. The way you dress, the way you move, even your silence sometimes. All of it represents honesty, self-respect, healing, and quiet confidence. You have become proof in their mind that softness and strength can exist together without cancelling each other out. And this part is important, so hear it clearly. Do not shrink yourself to become easier for other people to understand. The right person was never looking for someone louder, brighter, or more exaggerated. They were always looking for someone authentic, someone whose energy speaks before words do, someone exactly like you. And now your soulmate is slowly admitting something they once tried to deny. They are not only noticing you anymore, they are becoming attached to the feeling your presence creates inside them. There is still one thing they have told almost no one, maybe no one at all. The exact moment they realized you were becoming impossible to forget. And when that truth rises fully to the surface, this whole connection begins to make more sense. Because it was not a grand scene, it was not a dramatic confession. It happened in silence, while you were simply being yourself, unaware that someone was watching your energy with complete attention and slowly losing their distance from it. That was the moment they realized they cared more deeply than they ever meant to. Since then, they have noticed the difference between your guarded energy and your safe energy. They can feel when your heart is carrying weight. In those moments, your presence grows quieter, more inward, more careful. And when hope comes back, even in a small way, there is a softness around you again, a gentle brightness that returns without making an announcement. The surprising part is that they started waiting for those changes without knowing they were doing it, waiting to see your guard lower, waiting for that calm version of you to appear, waiting for the rare moments when your truest self slips into view, because each time it happens, something in them responds. Not only with attraction, not only with curiosity, with peace. And peace is rare now, rarer than attention, rarer than excitement, rarer than chemistry. That is why this bond keeps growing quietly in the background. At one stage, they tried to distance themselves from it mentally. They told themselves they were reading too much into things, that it was timing, coincidence, imagination. But then something happened that removed the doubt. They saw another person dressed in a style close to yours, similar shades, similar look, similar overall image, and yet the feeling was completely absent, empty, flat, unfamiliar. That is when they understood the truth they could no longer avoid. It was never just about clothing, never just about appearance. It was always about the energy behind it. Nobody wears their presence the way you do. Nobody carries silence, softness, strength, and hidden depth in the exact same balance. Pause there for a second. Out of everyone they have met, why does your energy remain? Why do the smallest details connected to you refuse to leave their mind? Because their heart was never responding to surface alone. It was responding to something deeper long before their mind had language for it. And lately, that understanding has changed the way they speak about you, even when they try to sound casual. They once said that when you enter a room, the noise seems to drop for a moment, not because you demand attention, not because you try to become the center, but because your energy naturally changes the atmosphere. That realization hit them harder than expected, because it confirmed this is no longer a passing attraction. It is personal now, emotional, transforming. You are slowly becoming part of their inner world. And beneath all their silence, there is a quiet fear they do not fully admit. They are afraid someone else will recognize your value before they find the courage to reveal what they feel. Not jealousy in a dark way, not possession, just fear. Fear that another soul may notice the same calm depth, the same authenticity, the same hidden beauty in your ordinary moments. Because once someone truly feels your energy, forgetting you becomes difficult. Your soulmate knows that now. That is why they replay tiny memories involving you. Your laugh appearing in their head without warning, the image of you adjusting your sleeves, the way you walk away carrying both gentleness and strength, small fragments, lasting impact. And recently they have realized something even deeper. You awakened emotions in them that they thought had gone quiet forever. Hope, tenderness, the desire to build something real instead of temporary. That is why this feels bigger than simple attraction. It feels like life revealing something through ordinary moments. So listen closely. The way you present yourself tells a story long before words arrive, and your soulmate has been reading that silent story piece by piece until their own heart started speaking louder than their logic. You are not just someone they happen to notice. You are someone they feel drawn toward on a level they can no longer dismiss. And very soon, the silence around this may start to break. Something has shifted recently, and they are trying hard to act normal about it, but inside they are losing the ability to pretend your presence does not affect them. At this point, it is not admiration alone. It has become emotional attachment mixed with anticipation, and that combination is hard to control. They have started imagining conversations that have not even happened yet, wondering what your mornings are like, wondering how you sound when you are fully relaxed, wondering if the version of you they sense so deeply is the same one you keep hidden in quieter moments. This is the stage they have reached now, where curiosity turns into investment. And none of it began with anything dramatic. It started from the smallest observations. The way you carry yourself, the way your energy changes in different spaces, the way your appearance reflects inner growth without trying too hard to announce it. They once heard someone call another person perfect, and strangely, they felt nothing. Because perfection no longer moves them. Realness does. Depth does. The kind of presence that feels alive and unfiltered does. And every road inside their heart keeps leading back to you. There was even a moment they almost reached out impulsively. Not because they had the right words ready, but because holding everything in was becoming tiring. They imagined what they would say, how you might react if you knew how deeply they notice you. Whether you would understand, whether you would smile, whether you would step back. Then fear interrupted them again, not just fear of rejection, fear of being seen too clearly. Because there is something about this connection that reflects hidden parts of themselves they rarely show anyone. And that kind of connection changes people from the inside. They quietly believe you can see through appearances too, that even if no one else notices what they hide, somehow you might. That possibility excites them and scares them at the same time, because being truly seen can be one of the most powerful experiences in life. If you are still with me, keep listening, because the next truth is where it becomes impossible to call this ordinary. There are moments when they revisit places where they think they might accidentally see you again, not because they want to control anything, not because they are obsessed, because your energy has become emotionally comforting to them and they are trying to understand why. Imagine touching someone's inner world like that without even knowing. There are nights when one tiny memory of you breaks their concentration completely. The color you wore once, the expression on your face when you thought no one was paying attention, the way your confidence briefly disappeared and then quietly returned. These details stay because your energy feels human to them in the deepest sense, not polished for approval, not performed for effect, real. And in a world filled with masks, realness becomes unforgettable. The biggest realization came when they finally admitted to themselves that the reason they notice your appearance so closely is because they are looking for emotional clues in it. They are trying to understand your heart before your words fully reveal it. That changed everything inside them. Now every interaction carries feeling underneath it, even when nothing obvious happens. Even silence seems meaningful. Even distance feels temporary somehow. And they cannot fully explain why. What if some connections begin emotionally before they begin physically? What if souls sense familiarity long before logic can explain it? That is where they are now, caught between what they feel and what they can prove. But this much has become clear. They no longer see you as someone passing through their life for a moment. They feel something lasting in you. Stability, safety, a future that feels calm instead of chaotic. Once that thought enters the heart, everything changes. Because the moment someone begins imagining a future with you, your absence starts to feel heavier than before. That is why they have become more alert to your presence lately, more observant, more responsive, more affected by every subtle shift in your energy. And there is another layer to this that they have barely admitted even to themselves. They sense that your outer image is not random. The way you show up in the world looks simple from the outside, but to them it feels like a quiet language. Some days your presence carries softness, like you are allowing life to touch you again after a hard season. Other days there is a cleaner edge to you, a kind of emotional discipline, like you have decided not to let certain things break your peace anymore. They notice both. They notice when your shoulders seem lighter. They notice when your eyes hold more distance. They notice when your whole look feels like protection and when it feels like trust. That is what makes this so deep. They are not reacting only to how you look. They are responding to what your energy says without speaking. And little by little, Those silent messages have been building a private world inside them. A world where you already matter more than they planned. A world where your ordinary moments feel charged with meaning. A world where even the possibility of losing the chance to know you feels heavier than it should. That is why they are becoming restless. They are starting to feel that if they wait too long, life may move first. Someone else may step in, timing may shift, the door may not stay open forever, and under that fear is something honest. They do not want to miss you. Not the real you. Not the gentle strength in you. Not the part of you that stayed kind after hard lessons. Not the quiet confidence you wear without needing applause. They know that people like you do not appear every day. That kind of presence cannot be copied. It cannot be manufactured. It can only be recognized. And once recognized, it becomes difficult to ignore. So if your heart has ever wondered whether your quiet details matter, whether your effort goes unseen, whether your softness is invisible, hear this clearly. It is not invisible. It is being felt more deeply than you know. The truth is, your soulmate has been reading pieces of your spirit through the life you wear around your body, and every piece has made them feel closer, not farther. They have seen enough to know you are not built from surface. There is history in you, grace in you, a kind of earned calm that only comes after surviving things you do not always speak about. That is why your presence stays. That is why your image repeats in their thoughts. That is why even your silence says more to them than loud people ever could. And now they are reaching the point where silence may no longer be enough. Something inside them wants movement, a conversation, a sign. A moment where feeling becomes real in the open and not only in private thought. They do not know exactly how it will happen yet. They do not know what words they will use. But the distance between what they feel and what they express is getting smaller, fast. Because once the heart accepts that a person feels like peace, like truth, like future, hiding becomes exhausting. So this is what you need to know. The way you exist in the world has already touched someone more deeply than you realize. Your ordinary days were not ordinary to them. Your simple choices were not small to them. Your presence spoke in moments when you thought nothing important was happening. And now that silent story is moving toward its next chapter. The person tied to your future is no longer just noticing the way you dress or the way you carry yourself. They are beginning to understand that what drew them in was your soul showing through those details all along. And when that truth finally reaches the surface, you may look back and realize that the smallest things mattered from the very beginning, because they were never small at all.